Welcome to the business story. Now, with more successful business in the domestic market, many Vietnamese entrepreneurs are now seeking opportunities to invest outside of the countries, and while approaching many markets such as the US and the EU seem to be more difficult right now, but there is still ways to approach the markets by going through other smaller nations because these countries are more open to foreign investments. For example, if investors want to approach the US market, they can go through countries like Grenada or Dominica countries, or if they want to approach the EU markets, they can invest through Cyprus. So today we will have a panel discussion with our distinguished guest. So we are honored to invite to the program, first of all, Ms. Đảo Thanh Thảo, Director of Thiên Tú Consulting and Trading Company. Many thanks to you. And secondly, Mr. Yanis Papazaharia. He is the advocate and legal consultant of Yanis Papazaharia law firm. And last but not least, Ms. Vicky Kasarova, CEO and President of High Net Worth Immigration. Now, thank you very much for all of you that have agreed to join in our program today. So now global and Vietnamese investors are kind of expanding their view of appropriate vehicles and geographical investments in many sectors, including property and tourism, in other countries. And today we will discuss ways in which investors may choose to approach the two biggest markets, which is the US and the EU, but in an indirect way. So, Mr. Thảo, first of all, why this is such a trend right now?
First of all, I'm very thankful for FBNC, very thankful for welcome us to sharing the very useful information for Vietnamese investor. So the indirect trend for Vietnamese investor to invest to overseas go through those small countries like Cyprus or Grenada, because those small countries, they have the benefit of small investment amount, and the investor, they can the country, they also attract more foreigner investor to help them to contribute their economy. On top of that, those big countries like USA, like Canada, like Australia, is always require very large amount of investment, and they also limited on the quota of foreign investor to enter in. So select the smaller nation to invest is a very good way, and is also the suitable way for foreign investor, especially the Vietnamese investor, to consider to enter to big country like European country like USA. So from the beginning you were mentioned Cyprus and Grenada. So I hope that Mr. Yanis can share with us for Cyprus, and also Vicky for Grenada.
Before moving on to talk more about these two specific countries like Cyprus and Grenada, I would like to ask Mr. Yanis here, Ms. Vicky here, is that has this kind of program, indirect investment program, has it become popular, and to which countries that they have the most investors that invest into those two countries? Mr. Yanis?
Recently, of course, adopted the new immigration program for offering to non-European citizens the opportunity to become, by investing in real estate specifically, and is the most popular investment in real estate, to open the gateway to Europe. So people recently opened the market to from Asia area, especially China, Vietnam, and Russia are highly interested to participate in the program and combine not only residing or obtaining a passport in the future, but also doing business in Cyprus or globally by using a Cyprus company.
Right. Ms. Vicky, in your experience, so far, investors from which countries that have done a lot of most of the investments in the Grenada?
Just I want to add something to Mr. Yannis' comment that in our days of globalization and business expand, programs like investing in real estate in another country it's a trend. I mean, it's a global trend. Countries like Grenada can give you access to other markets in North America or South America. Grenada, for example, has very good relationship with United States, and next step of the investment could be, apart from investing in Grenada and real estate in Grenada or some other alternative projects with very good return on the investment, the next step could be investment in United States with all the benefits which you can have residing over there. Just to continue about the people investing, well, yes. The main investors we have are from Middle East. I can say maybe 70-80% of our investors are coming from Middle East, Asia, and Russia, of course.
Right. And so when investing in these countries, in these smaller countries, what are the benefits that brought by this kind of investment, Mr. Thao?
Okay, further on, I want to share very some specific benefit for investor, especially for Vietnamese investor. When they invest in any kind of property on next to the benefit of investing in property, they can have the permanent resident or they can have the direct citizenship. Cyprus is belong to European, and before it belonged to British, so it followed the UK way on education, on medical system, on legal.
And one of the things I think is very important is that many investors, they would want to know whether their investment will be protected by an agency or by any policies once they have invested in those countries. So their investment can be protected?
Actually, from the beginning, those programs were approved by the government. First of all, it was approved by the government. It's not approved by private body.
Companies, yeah.
Or any company, so approved by the government. So the government, they have that certain kind of program to attract the foreign investor. And they invest on property. It means that they own their own access. It means the access will be under their name. So they don't give the asset to any other third party to keep it. And it is freehold property, so they can keep it forever, unless they want to transfer to their third, second generation.
Okay.
And on the investment amount, when the investor invest to buy it, it will first keep in the escrow account to protect the money before transfer to the developer. And of course, the lawyer is always, the very good partner to along with the investor for checking everything, document.
Protecting his interests, actually.
And protect the investor interests.
We have to notice that we talk about Cyprus, a full member of European Union, is adopted the European system, legal system, and of course the rights of the purchaser or investor, as the case may be, then are fully protected, and of course the lawyer is obliged to assist the client to sign the contract, to follow up with relevant procedures in order to successfully finalize the investment.
Well, and now we would like to hear more about your experience in investing in these two specific countries in the next part of the program. So we would take a little break here. Thank you very much. Thank you. Welcome back to the Business Story on FBNC, and we will continue to discuss with our guest today about the indirect way to approach the EU market through investment in Cyprus country. Now, welcome back, ladies and Mr. Giannis. So apart from the biggest markets like the EU and the US, recent year, Vietnamese businesses have done a lot of investments in Greece and in Malta, but not many of them heard about Cyprus. So what can you say about this, Mr. Giannis?
By investing in real estate in Cyprus is not just a simple investment. And there is a sufficient return, which is average 3 to 6% of the investment, since Cyprus is economy based on tourism and generally offering services. Then there are good potentials for having a good rent as return for the investment. The economy is very stable, and business-wise is an ideal destination, in my opinion.
Okay, I carry on with the point that Mr. Giannis were just mentioned about the investor can generate a certain percent of return per annum. Let's say like in Spain, we have a project that can generate the guaranteed investment return is 7%, and for Cyprus, around 3 to 6%, and for Grenada is from 3 to 6% as well. But those countries, as I mentioned before, is very good for the children, with the good education system, with the medical benefit for the whole family.
The safety,
and safe.
Very low crime, and you have this feeling from the very first moment you arrive in Cyprus. People are friendly, I want to believe. I think we have many similarities with Vietnamese people, and this is good to discover.
Okay.
I'm very pleased to discover that we have very good approach, friendly, and I'm very pleased for this cooperation with the Thiên Tú, and generally to visit your country and doing business here.
That is the point that I want to touch a little bit more here, because those benefits that you and Mr. Thao have just listed out is the kind of general benefits that most of the investors would enjoy. But for Asian investors and especially for Vietnamese investor, is there any other things that they would care more about when they make such investment?
We are very confident when we can give the Vietnamese investor of the high rate of approval, and we are also support them for on the relative thing, like to set up their family in those country, to look for the school, to look for the location for them to stay. So it means that the Vietnam investor, they will feel more safe and not to worry so much when they move for whole family to stay in the other country.
Yeah. Something to what Tiffany said. I think it's very important for Vietnamese investors to know that they can control the investment itself. They are the one in control all the time. And they can decide to sell it after a certain period of time, or just transfer the title deed to their children. I think they are smart business people.
Okay, thank you very much and for your insights. And we would move to investment in Grenada in next part of the program. And please stay with us. Welcome back to the final part of the visit story on FBNC, and we have talked about investment in Cyprus, and now we've moved on to continue to talk about the investment opportunity in Grenada, so that investor can approach the U.S. market more easy. Now, welcome back. Another country that investors should take into account is Grenada, right, Mr. Vicky? Why is it that they should invest in Grenada?
Yes, I'm sure that our potential investors, they have heard that there are several Caribbean countries offering citizenship by investment or investment in general. However, Grenada, apart from all the benefits which Mr. Yanis mentioned, like visa-free travel to more than 140 countries, including China and Russia, of course, Schengen is there. Being part of the British Commonwealth, they can travel to UK visa-free and stay over there most like 9 months per year. Grenada is offering many other benefits, like it's a very secure place to live. Again, very friendly, excellent education. The famous St. George University is there, it's American university. And it's accepting students from all over the world, even Canada. The university is accredited by Canada, by United States.
And one of the characteristics of investing in Grenada is that the investor can approach the U.S. markets easier. So can you speak about this specific?
Yes. Again, the first step of this process, it will be investing in Grenada, which is secure investment, as we understood, with decent return on the investment. However, if the client would like to expand their business to U.S., they can do that by purchasing another business over there under the E2 visa. Obviously, they have to pay, but in general, they are having the same benefits as the rest of the residents. And of course, this visa, E2 visa, can be renewed after that.
Yeah, and speaking about investment in Grenada, people often refer to the investment in real estate tourism, right, Ms. Thảo? Why is this sector is the most kind of attractive to investors, especially Vietnamese investors?
Okay, well, why tourism property is very good, attractive, because Grenada is a small country, it's an island, you know.
Paradise.
So it has very beautiful beach, and when the investor invest on tourism property, they can gain the benefit. They can have the good, reasonable return, 3 to 4% or maybe more. And this will attract more and more tourists, like from USA, European, to travel to Grenada to enjoy very good climate, very good weather, and you know, they also can easy access to the neighborhood country, like USA.
Yeah, but as far as I'm concerned, the return on the investment on the property tourism in Grenada is not so high, right, compared to other sectors? Is that true?
Well, there are some alternative investments, like the fish farming, which I mentioned before. They can offer higher return on investment, but the real estate investments can offer other benefits as well. Our investors can stay and enjoy some time, you know, living in the property, having their vacation over there. So I think the things are balanced. I mean, they're getting a lot of benefits apart from the return on the investment, many other, which are very important.
And how about the taxation system? Is there any difference in investing in Grenada?
The benefits are almost the same. Our investors enjoy zero taxes on their international incomes, which is great. And of course, if they want to have their business on the very place like Grenada, the government is providing a lot of incentives. For example, 20 years they're exempted from any taxes on their activities in the island.
Impressive.
And many other, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I just wanted to mention about the security of the investment. Yes, this is really very important. And in some of the projects we are offering to our investors, the government itself is shareholder of the project, and they are fully supported by the government.
So, and this is a very technical question, Ms. Thảo. So regarding the amount of the investment, is there any range that prospective investors can kind of have a reference?
Okay, let's talk about the investment amount of Grenada. So right now we have Vicky as our partner for Caribbean program. So for Grenada, for investment on property, the requirement amount is $350,000. But in the project that we choose, it were a discount from the developer.
Yes.
They can give 25,000 discount. So it means they only need to invest $325,000.
Which is excellent.
And we also have another project we call the GSA. It's about our culture. So the requirement amount is smaller, is $275,000. So between two projects, it depends on which one the investor refer to invest to. But both were selected, and both have the good investment on return. And for Cyprus, is recently the Cyprus government, they announced two programs. At first is invest on property. The investment amount is €300,000 to buy property. So mean that the investment amount of the investor was secure because the property will be under their name, freehold forever. So unless they don't want to keep their permanent resident, they can sell their property or they can transfer to their children. And for the other program, very attractive to other like ultra high net worth Vietnamese, with the investment amount of €2 million to buy property. You can buy in single unit or you can buy multiple property. It depends on your demand, your requirement. Recently, the transaction of the property market, transaction of property in Cyprus is jumped, is very high. Like in 2017, is increased 33%. So compared with 2016, they have around more than 8,000 transactions were due in Cyprus, and were contributed by foreigner investors. So that is the good point that we can say that the property market in Cyprus is now increasing a lot. So it can be can have the investor to see that it's a good potential market to invest in.
So is there any a minimum kind of holding period before they can transfer the projects or the properties in Cyprus, Mr. Yanis?
For the transfer of the properties into the name of children or between spouses is not any restriction. The idea is that you always have to keep residential property in Cyprus, then to keep the chain with Cyprus. I would like to also emphasize that further to the very fast procedure obtaining completing the investment and obtaining the residency or the citizenship, we have to emphasize that There are no annual taxes on property or real estate, which is very important.
Yes.
Especially if we compare with other destinations.
Yes.
In Cyprus, we have no inheritance tax, and from experience, many people choose to only reside in Cyprus for this reason.
Yeah.
Taking, for example, into consideration that in many countries, the inheritance tax is varied from maybe 20 to 40%. In Britain, for example, is 40%.
Okay.
Almost half of the estate is going to the government.
Yeah. And how about in Grenada?
In Grenada, it's very straightforward. An investor should keep the investment for 3 years only, which is very short. Of course, they can choose to keep the investment as long as they wish to, but otherwise they're free to sell.
Okay. And so, Ms. Thảo, Mr. Yanis, and Ms. Vicky, thank you very much for joining in our program today, and thanks for sharing your insights on this topic. So I hope that the audience would have enough information so that they can make the right decisions if they are now considering investment in overseas. And thank you very much. And I would like to take this opportunity to wish all of you good health and success in the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the invitation.
Thank you.
So that has been our business story on FBNC today. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next episode of the business story. Goodbye.